Why are Americans so dumb? Just why? I mean, why are Americans just so dumb? I just don't get it. And there is a stereotype about the dumb American and all that stuff, and I don't want to believe it. And I think that people exaggerate it sometimes, or they overstate it. They say it way too many times that Americans are dumb and blah 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 blah, and American people are stupid and yada yada. And it gets kind of old and outdated and worn out, and it seems many times that it's just a horse that's dead from all of the times people are just beating this horse. And a lot of the people who say that Americans are dumb are French people, and Europeans love to talk about how Americans are stupid. And so if you go to Europe, you may hear a snicker here and there. You may hear a snobby, pretentious joke, a condescending joke about Americans. And it's in bad taste because you're a European. You shouldn't even talk. You guys almost destroyed the world, and thanks to America, that didn't happen. So I was on Twitter this morning, and I'm looking through Twitter, and I just randomly scroll through Twitter. Sometimes, every time I will search for certain things, but many a time I just scroll and I see, what does the algorithm want me to see? And I saw that Joe Biden posted something up. It was something about how MAGA Americans are a danger to the country and we have to prove them wrong or something like that. Anyway, that's not the point. What really intrigued me was the comment section, because I'm thinking to myself, the meme about Biden is that he has dementia. That is the meme about Biden. He's got dementia. He is losing his marbles. He doesn't have a cohesive train of thought. He is not cognitively functioning properly. His intellectual capacity has been greatly diminished. So this is what Americans, conservative Americans, Republican Americans love to say about Biden. He's got dementia. How the hell can he run the country? So I'm thinking, there's no way. I mean, there's just no way that people actually respond to Joe Biden on Twitter as if they're actually responding to Joe Biden. There's no way that these people who are constantly saying, like a broken record, that Biden has dementia, are actually responding to Biden as if they're actually responding to Biden, as if Biden actually wrote any of these tweets. So I said, you know what? Here's my phone. I just decided I'm going to go to Biden's Twitter account as if Biden actually runs this thing, right? And I'm just going to scroll down his Twitter, and I'm going to look at the comments. I'm going to look at the feedback. I'm going to look at the engagement that his tweets get. And they keep saying that it's called X now. So what do we call the posts on X, right? Because it was called Twitter, we call the post tweets. So what do we call the post now, since it's been called X, since the name has been changed to X? What do we call it? LikeXists? I'm going to read the Xists. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Twitter is just a cacophony of insanity anyway. So I'm looking at Joe Biden's Twitter. All right. So let's just see what this guy has posted, as if he posted it. So 4 hours ago, Biden posted this. He said, "With your voice, your power, and your vote, we can restore Roe." And then he posted up this meme stating, "I don't think MAGA Republicans have any clue about the power of women in America, but they're about to find out." And so let's see the comments. 7.7 thousand comments for this. I don't get it. And if you read the comments on any one of Joe Biden's posts, supposedly his posts, most of the comments are negative. Most of the comments are expressions of dislike towards President Biden. It's rare to find a reply that is positive, that is pro-Biden. Which leads me to believe that Trump is going to win. And I know that I said in the last election that Trump was going to win and then Biden won. So I am willing, looking at all of the negative feedback that Biden gets, the oceans, the waves, the floods, the deluges of hatred against Biden on Twitter, I am going to put myself at risk of having egg on my face for this upcoming election, and I am going to say that Trump is going to become the president. I believe that Trump will be elected. I'm gonna say it. And if I'm wrong, then call me whatever you want to call me. I don't really care. I'm just seeing the internet for what it is, and I'm saying, I mean, Biden won more votes than any U.S. president in American history. But so seeing so much hatred, I'm thinking, wow, a lot of people hate this guy, regardless of how many votes he got. So much hatred against this guy leads me to suspect and believe that Trump is going to win. Because you would think, well, this guy got so many votes, you would see tremendous positive expressions, tremendous positive comments about him. You would think that, right? But you don't see it. Which tells me that Biden is not going to win. That's if he's going to be alive for the next election, for the night of the election. Who knows what's going to happen? We may see Kamala Harris on the ballot. Who knows? Who knows? But looking at the comments here, so it's for this post here. He said, I don't think MAGA Republicans have any clue about the power of women in America, but they're about to find out. So let's look at the comments. Over 7,000 comments for this. Let's look at the comments. Save America, vote Trump. And then this guy says, whenever Jill tries to give me campaign advice, I remind her who the boss is. It's Jill. So no love so far. Mothers will remember this. And I don't know what this means. Somebody has an anti-Planned Parenthood meme saying that Planned Parenthood is all about eugenics. So again, no love for Biden. This guy says, you had 50 years and several majorities to do that. You did not. Democrats want the fight, not the change. Same with every issue: immigration, education, middle class issues, taxes, etc. Watch their actions, never their words, etc., etc. So obviously this is not a loving, warm comment. This guy says, Joe Biden is attacking half of the country again. Meanwhile, President Trump is urging unity. This is the choice you have in November. And one guy says here, oh, really, pedo Joe? I don't see any love. Here's a guy. He's got a Middle Eastern last name. And he just put the word murder 50 times. Not 50, but like 20 times. Murderer, 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 murderer. I don't see any love. And there's 7.7 thousand comments for just this tweet alone, right? So I'm thinking, wait a second. All these people hate Biden. They all say that Biden has dementia. And you're writing comments responding to Joe Biden as if you're actually responding to Joe Biden. Do you think that Joe Biden actually writes these tweets? Given that you think that he has dementia, why in the hell would you respond to somebody who you think has dementia as if you're taking him seriously? It's just people are really that dumb. And I'm looking at Twitter and how people respond. They're responding to Biden. Biden doesn't write these tweets. I don't think Biden writes these tweets. I think Biden is taking a nap right now. I don't think he's running his Twitter page. It's like when you see these famous celebrities and they have an Instagram account, you can always tell when the Instagram account is actually ran by a manager and not the celebrity. And you can tell when the celebrity actually runs his Instagram. It's very personal. There's a lot of basic photos. There's a lot of photos of him in his house, and it's very mundane. There's nothing special about it. It's very jujune, very bland. But when you see somebody and they're posting really sharp photos, and it's always photos of them on set or on stage or something like that, it's very obvious that this is done by a manager, right? Who's in charge of PR. So it's the same thing with Twitter. I mean, I don't believe Biden runs his Twitter account. Now Trump maybe. I would say Trump at least probably dictates his tweets to people and they post it for him. But I think that Trump has a say-so in his Twitter. I think he is running his Twitter page, at least probably managing it. With Biden, I cannot believe this guy is running a Twitter account. And I can't believe that people actually take time to respond to him, as if they're actually responding to him. This guy doesn't write his tweets. And you guys should act as if he doesn't, because you're always saying that he has dementia, so treat him like somebody with dementia. Why are you guys treating him seriously? It's so crazy to me. And let's go back to Mr. Joe Biden here. 4 hours. Okay, we did that. Here's one from 6 hours ago. Donald Trump is betting you won't hold them responsible for taking away women's freedom. So again, he's just pressing on this abortion stuff. And let's look at the comments for this one. And again, there's no love. I won't forget. This woman puts a video of Biden talking, and she has this anti-vaccine post, and this other guy says, when Democrats are losing the polls, and he posts a picture of Biden, and Biden looks a little bit short-circuited. Here is a picture of a elderly care center, and it says soon on the top, implying that Biden is going to end up in elderly care. And again, there's a guy here, no love. Again, no love. This guy says, your border policy, the end goal. And he has a picture of a guy with an orange shirt. And the orange shirt says, we bring people from shithole countries because shithole Democrats need shithole votes so they can turn America into a shithole. So again, I'm not seeing any love for Biden. Which shocks me because according to what I've heard, he got more votes than any other president in U.S. history. So I'm looking at his Twitter, and I'm expecting mostly love. I'm expecting, of course, Trump is very popular. We can expect criticism, but for a man who got more votes than any president in U.S. history, you should expect there to be mostly love. And I ain't seeing love for Biden. I'm seeing a lot of hatred. Hatred from very dumb people. And I'm not saying that they're dumb because they are for Trump. I'm saying that they're dumb because they actually waste their lives and their time responding to someone who they actually believe has dementia. And you can say, well, responding against Biden is good for PR. For a very, very small handful of people on Twitter, most of these people writing on Twitter have no followers or very little followers. So what the hell are they doing? We're living in a country of idiots on both sides. Truly, a country of morons. Now, of course, I prefer Trump over Biden because I lean more conservative and Trump has more conservative policies. But the fact that you have people who are on Twitter and they're screaming about how the president has dementia, and then they're wasting their time responding to this guy as if they're actually responding to him. This guy, he has dementia. You think he actually writes these tweets? I mean, there's a lot of dumb people. And so looking at the stereotype that Europeans love to joke about the dumb Americans, I can't blame Europeans for having that stereotype. I can't. And you know what's creepy is that many Americans look up to Europeans. They say, oh, the Europeans, the English accent is sexier than the American accent, which I don't agree with, but that's a lot of people have this belief. They look up to Europe as the center of culture and history and amazing history and all this stuff. We should be making stereotypes about Europeans. And I don't really see a whole lot of that. I see Europeans making stereotypes about Americans and then people agreeing with the Europeans. And there's truth to the stereotype about America being full of dummies. But I think Europe is full of lunatics. I think Europe is full of maniacs. And I was talking about this with my dad yesterday. People were on the internet asked the question, why is nationalism growing in Europe? Why? What's happening? Why do you see more and more Italians expressing fascist views? Why do you see Italians having nostalgia or nostalgia? A lot of these guys weren't alive then. Most of these guys weren't alive when Mussolini was running Italy, but they have this weird fascination with Mussolini. Why do you see Germans expressing more and more nationalistic views and in some cases openly expressing openly Nazistic views, explicit Nazistic views? And the reason is because they're Nazis. But you have people on the internet who do these documentaries, they do these newsreels, and they ask the question, why are so many Germans, falling for the far right? Because they're Nazis. But they try to rationally explain, or they try to find some sort of objective or some sort of seemingly rational explanation by saying, oh, well, it's because of the economy. Oh, it's because of money or whatever. The price of rent is too high or something like that. The reality is that they're Nazis. That's the reason why. And they have found their opportunity to be Nazis. And if you think about it, it's really not that difficult to fathom this. Think about it. You are in Germany, and World War II has just ended. Germany has just been defeated. Germany has just surrendered. And now you have Americans and Soviets occupying your country, and they are there to denazify you. And you have to go through denazification. Do you think you're going to sit there and see, Kyle? You are going to hide your Nazi sentiments. You're going to hide them. And you're going to be hiding them for a very, very long time because the Nazis caused the most destructive war in human history. You bet your ass you're going to keep quiet. You bet your ass that those people are going to keep quiet. And those Nazis had children. And their children had children. And that Nazi belief got inherited. I'm not saying that this happened every single time. I know for a fact that this wasn't always the case. Obviously, this was not always the case. You have people who are older in Germany who will say they are completely against Nazism, that their father or their grandfather got bamboozled, got fooled by the Nazis, and they realized that it was all nonsense, so they completely want nothing to do with Nazism. But they are still people in Germany today who believe that Nazism is great, and they inherited that ideology. It's very obvious. And if you can't really fathom that, then you're just being deliberately deceptive. This way of thinking is there, and the opportunity to be a Nazi is becoming more and more clear. The opportunity is showing itself more and more every single year. And yet you have people who will sit there and say, oh no, they're not Nazis. Oh no, everything is just great. Everything is wonderful. And you see Americans making these arguments. You see Americans whose grandparents and great-grandparents fought against the Nazis looking at Germany and saying, oh, this is great. Nationalism rising in Germany, this is amazing. And I ask myself, why are so many Americans talking and thinking this way? Oh, it's because they're stupid. And I have to ask the question, why are so many Americans stupid? But then I think to myself, well, they're not really stupid. I don't really believe people are stupid. I don't believe in this concept of stupidity. I think people are ignorant. I think people are sometimes oblivious, but I don't think that they're stupid. Stupidity, I think, means an inability to learn, and we all have the ability and the capacity to learn from our mistakes and to learn new things and to absorb knowledge. People will deliberately reject the obvious, and they do this all the freaking time. We've seen this recently. There was a horrific massacre in Israel, in Israel actually, yeah. And I was going to say Gaza. No, there was a massacre in Israel. And you have people who don't even want to talk about that. They just want to talk about the bombing of Gaza. Well, hold on a second. What about the massacre? No, let's just talk about the bombing. So you deliberately want to just ignore the elephant in the room. That's evil. That's not stupidity. That's evil. And so these Americans who sit there and try to make defenses for the revival of German nationalism and even the revival of Nazism, a lot of them are just evil. I think some of them are at least deceived. But all evil people are deceived in some way. But they get so lost in their own deception that they deceive others. And this is what St. Paul tells us when he says, deceiving and yet being deceived. Yeah. But there's a lot of insanity. There is a lot of insanity out there. And here's one thing I've noticed also. You have Americans who are defending the revival of nationalism. Every single time I watch a YouTube video on the rise of the AfD in Germany or the rise of nationalism in Europe, I always look at the comments. I think the comment section of a video can be just as revealing, if not more so, than the actual message of the video itself. So if they have a video about the rise of nationalism and the rise of Nazism, look at the comments. And if you see that the majority of people are saying, oh yes, this is terrible, the revival of Nazism, the revival of racism is terrible. It's very ominous. It's very concerning. Then you really have nothing to worry about, because people who are actually paying attention to these things understand that it's important to know about them, and they understand the danger of the revival of these ideologies. But if you see a video on the revival of Nazism or ultranationalism, and you read the comments, and almost 100% of the comments are sympathetic to the revival of Nazism or nationalism, and they're bashing the people who made the video, that is very concerning. And that's actually the state that we are in right now. Look at any video on the revival of Nazism, the rise of nationalism in Germany, or even the revival of militarism in Europe, and read the comments, and you will see that the majority of the people doing the comments are actually sympathetic to what is being revived, and they are antagonistic to the people who make these videos. And I see that, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, people have lost their minds. People have gone insane. Absolutely insane. And I will look at Twitter, and I will type in something as simple as Jews, or just a very simple search, and I'll just type in Jews, just to see what I'll get. And I just get legions of anti-Jewish posts. Legions of them. And today I did this little experiment today on Twitter, and I got this post. Someone said, Israel is a cancer to the world. I mean, this is Hitlerian. This is Nazistic rhetoric. To say that Israel, the only Jewish nation, is a tumor. It's just like when the Nazis said that the Jews are parasites. And that's what's happening. This is what's being revived. And it's happening it's already been there in the Islamic world. It's been there for a very long time in the Islamic world, so that's a given, but it's happening in the West. And when something is reviving in the West, when an ideology is growing in the West, we actually should be very, very concerned. Because if you have anti-Semitism in the Middle East, that's been the case for a very, 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 very long time. You can go all the way back to the time of Hitler, and the Nazis had no difficulty finding people who would support them in the Middle East, and that's because of the Islamic religion. But when you see Nazism growing in the Western world, when you see nationalism growing in the Western world, it's very concerning given the recent history of what happened in Europe, and everyone knows about what happened in Europe. I don't have to get into details about that. People have lost their minds. Truly. Even in America. In America, people have lost their minds. You have Americans who have seen Saving Private Ryan, they've seen Schindler's List, they've seen documentaries on the Holocaust, World War II, all these things, and they see nationalism growing in Germany, and they just give a thumbs up to it. And they will see, for example, Germany talking about strengthening its military, reviving its military power, and they'll say, well, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. People have lost their minds completely. And it's only going to get worse. Every year it's getting worse, and the insanity is just increasing. People are becoming unhinged. Anyway, you just heard some theology, God bless.